Yeah, I do think we're going to get away from, because it's just becoming so saturated, right?
Yeah,
When I got on LinkedIn a few years ago and started taking it more seriously, it did not feel as saturated. I felt like I kept, maybe it's just my own algorithm, right? My own feed, but
yeah,
I feel like I was not seeing nearly as much. And now it's just so oversaturated because it feels more like a Facebook feed than a LinkedIn feed. It's
yeah.
just getting crazy. And I empathize with people that say it's just, every time I go on there, it's just overwhelming. It's like, it's every post is another script, and you write this in the comments section and get this thing for free. And to your point, you always got to judge the quality on there. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of good stuff on there, but if you're spending all your time downloading the next, requesting the next lead generation tactic from agency A, B, and C,
Yeah,
when are you getting the real work done? The real
yeah,
work that's being done, because these guys are using this as a content generation tool. Like you and I have done it as well. It's so, again, not to throw shade on that. It's a tactic, but understand what you're getting into when you're getting that stuff. So I'm assuming it's going to be so much more saturated than ever before. We might see, it's going to be interesting to see the kind of pivots that agencies and marketers
yeah,
pivot to, as opposed to just another whatever thing in the comments section and get my newest script or whatever. I think it'll be interesting because there's going to be too much of that to where people, maybe they'll get sick of it. Maybe they feel like I already have 100 scripts I don't use, that whole thing. And I've been hearing a lot of complaints about people saying, yeah, I wrote whatever in the comments and I never got it. So there's
yeah,
a lot of this stuff happening too. It'll be interesting to see how it shifts. And that was kind of like the number one 2024 tactic on LinkedIn. So it'll be interesting to see how that
yeah,
changes as things become more and more saturated here. Yeah.
yeah. Hey, that's actually really good. I'm actually
Yeah.
just thinking now. I'm actually because I didn't really release much this year on my YouTube channel purely just because I was like the stuff I was releasing, even though I'm like, what people want to see it, I'm like, I'm bored by it. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
bored talking about this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then the stuff that I'm interested in, it's either that I'm still working on it, so it isn't solidified, which most of the time when people actually put out content, it's not. They haven't even done it, so let alone solidified it. But more the fact that like the stuff I'm doing is very niche. So I'm like, do I want to go down that niche? Which I realized I do now. After I got that message from Joey on LinkedIn the other day and I chatted to you about it, I
Mm-hmm.
realized I think this is the next path I'm going down, which is um, simple, practical data analysis for advertising, for paid
Mm-hmm.
advertising channels. Because what you're doing is extremely advanced. And I think like less than 1% of 1% would even be able to logically comprehend what you're doing, let alone could actually action it. But I'm recognizing there's a huge gap in the market for people's data analysis skills. Like I think people can look at data and they can kind of get the vibe, but they're limited by the outputs and also limited by how it's presented. And if they have the ability to present the data better themselves
Mm-hmm.
and creatively dive into that data, I think that's where a lot of people get a shift now. Because like a lot of these people who are like Google Ads experts, like when you ask them or speak to them about like their data analysis, they're like, oh, I just look in the interface. I'm like, I've speak to people who have like agencies where I'm like, how do you track your client results overall? And it's like, oh, we just look in the Google Ads MCC. I'm like, you don't have any sort of like third party tracking things? Like, no. I'm like, whoa, dude. Like you can really easily build just like a dashboard that shows all your clients and all their results over the last 730, whatever date range, and just see if they're hitting KPIs or not. People don't have that. I reckon that could even transform an agency, just one spreadsheet. But I'm not going to give that one away because that is the juice.
That's for the mastermind.
That is for the $10,000 a year mastermind, which
All right.
Corey and I will be doing in 2025, which we failed to do with Nils and Ed Leak. But fuck those guys. Nah, I
Editor.
love them both. Yeah, so yeah, I think yeah, definitely this year. I know for me, the real focus is going to be on the consulting and data analysis, but also
Yeah.
making it more simple and practical, but more powerful as well.
Yeah.
Because ad accounts, diving deeper in ad accounts is not gonna. That's not where the gold is. It's not there. It's not there.
Yeah.
It's not there.
Well, I was gonna add to that and say, because you had mentioned sort of it's a very rare breed that can do the advanced analytics stuff, but I don't think it's impossible for people to get there. I think at some point they do the Google Sheets thing. They go from that. They maybe evolve into Excel because they have bigger data sets. Whatever they need, the the features and tools that are available in Excel outside of Google Sheets, et cetera, et cetera. Eventually, they're going to hit that point where they say, okay, I want to get better at this. And there's going to be more advanced stuff. And maybe not every client needs all of that, but if you can, like I mentioned, build some kind of predictability into your advertising, if you have a bunch of data that you really want to activate, you're going to need some more sophisticated things.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm excited about is for me personally, that's like my number one thing this year is I really want to continue to push the industry forward, the paid search industry, PPC industry, whatever you want to
Yeah.
call it. I really want to push it more forward because I think we have been stuck in the oversimplification. That obviously works from a messaging standpoint for agencies, make it seem complicated, but it's actually simple, etc. But I do think that this industry needs to push itself even further because it's becoming more challenging to do a great job at Google Ads. I think a
Yeah.
lot of agencies can do a good job. They set up a data studio thing, whatever it is. They set up maybe some automated rules, a bunch of PMAX campaigns, DSA campaigns, and just like call it a day and make a few tweaks here and there. But really pushing the industry forward to say, guys, we've got all this data. How can we really utilize it? Where are the
Yeah.
unique things, the little diamonds in the rough that can make a huge, huge, massive difference in excelling these brands forward? So that's what I'm excited about personally, is just really trying to push the industry forward, sharing more of those deeper, more advanced things, helping people understand that it's not as complicated as you might have thought it was. When you look at programming stuff, it goes right over your head. But
Yeah.
understand it's just another tool